first and foremost, thank you for being here today. I'm honored to have the privilege of sitting with Juli Boeheim. And if anybody doesn't know who Juli Boeheim is, she is the wife of Jim Boeheim, who is a Hall of Famer and a legend SU basketball coach. But we're not here to talk about basketball because we could probably talk about basketball for days.
Yeah, we could.
We're here to talk about the most important role, which is being a mother, and specifically today, being a sports mom. So Juli, I wanted to start off by asking you, tell us a little bit about your journey being a sports mom. Tell us about your kids, what that looked like for you.
Well, I've always wanted to be a mother growing up my whole life. I mean, I just knew that's what I wanted. I'm one of 7. I love a big family. When Jim and I met and then when we got married, he wanted 2 kids, I wanted 4. Luckily we had twins, so I got 3. There's a compromise. But I used to be worried because I see him on the court yelling and pushing and hounding, and I'm like, that's my fear. Are you gonna push our kids like that? I can just see you out till midnight saying, shoot it again. And that was always my anticipation going into parenting with him. But it was actually just the opposite. He was the soft-spoken one. I was more of the one, that would say more, but I think they would listen less. They listened to their dad. They all wanted dad at their games. Not that they didn't appreciate me. It wasn't, but I'm okay with that. I get that.
Yeah.
He is the expert in the sports, and I won't even pretend to be, above him in that. But, it all started in the playroom in the house with the boys in a little Tykes hoop. We would do starting lineup where they'd run through the house and they would be different Syracuse players' names, and my daughter would participate sometimes. Sometimes she would just sit next to me and be the announcer or the cheerleader, or she would play all kinds of roles, but the boys were hardcore at everything they did from a very early age. It never stopped, and they're still playing.
Yeah. You guys obviously live and breathe basketball. Did your kids dabble in any other sports?
Yeah, they did. The boys played baseball. Our daughter played everything from volleyball, softball, lacrosse, swimming, basketball, which she stuck with and played in college. Yeah, very good athlete. So we did have the outdoor sports as well, with the baseball with the boys, and travel as well with that, and softball for her, and lacrosse.
So not only are you the coach's wife, but you're a mom of 3 in sports. How did you balance your time with your family, with the sports schedules? How did you do that?
Yeah, well, I didn't do it perfectly, and a lot of times I didn't do it well. I think balance is our hardest struggle in life. No matter what you do or what you have, or kids or job or workout, whatever it is, I just think balancing life is difficult. And I struggled with it. We had to divide and conquer. We also had to lean on other parents. I would rotate. I'd have to miss Jim's games, and he wanted me to be with the kids. But I was only one person, and we could have had 3 games going on in 3 different states, and it was nuts. It was nuts. When we go to bed at night as a mom, you're like, okay, all right, I did okay today. Usually it's like, gosh, I messed, that was bad. I barely covered things. I had to be okay with that. They had to be okay with that. And eventually they were.
What you said, I think, is really important to recognize and give yourself grace that you can't be everywhere at once. You can't do all the things. You just physically can't. So you just have to try your best and do what you can.
Yeah, and the older the kids get, the more they understand that. And now that they're on the other side of all of that, even though they're still playing, but they're older, they really get it. And then they have a great appreciation for what we tried to do. And we would literally leave an SU game, jump in the car, and go, to one of their games, trying to make it up. Jim would plan practice schedule around their game schedules.
That's great.
He could do that in a lot of cases. So, at the end of the day, we missed some stuff, but they survived.
We survived.
And we survived.
People have a difference of opinion on sports, especially in youth sports.
Yeah.
But what would you say are the benefits that you've seen come from your kids being in sports?
Well, I think the first thing I think of is playing with kids from all areas of our community. I think that is so great to get out of your neighborhood, to get out of your high school, elementary school, whatever it is, get out of your district and become friends with everyone in your community. That was really great. They loved it. They saw the beauty in that. I think that is just the ultra importance in life to, blend in with everyone, become friends with everyone. There's no limits to that.
Are there any moments of adversity that your kids face, like any challenges that you can share with us and maybe how you guys worked through that?
Yeah, I think playing time is always a challenge. Buddy was a bench warmer a lot of the times. Now he's playing in the NBA basically, in the G League, but he's still with the NBA team. Kept fighting through that. He never liked losing. He would cry, very emotional after an SU loss growing up. And then as an athlete at a young age, he was very emotional. He took it to heart, but learning to be patient with yourself, continuing to work hard, overcoming, I think that playing time is the kid's number one grumble. But instead of fueling the fire, we would just come alongside him and encourage him. And I think that's where we're failing today as parents. We're gassing things, we're going to the coach and yelling at them, and we're interfering with games and referees. And what are we teaching our kids? We can't hold their hands the rest of their lives. So we worked hard at that. Jim, being a coach, knows all of that, what you want from a parent as a coach and what you think your player needs as a coach. But he's still a parent, so, that's a little difficult when it comes to your own kids. But, the adversity was losing. It was not playing as much as you wanted. I think that would be probably every player, every kid's, for the majority, the biggest, toughest thing.
I heard somebody say before that to never look at sitting at the bench as a negative. It's actually your opportunity to observe.
Yeah.
What's some advice, or how did you remain so cool and calm and composed?
I didn't always. But, I think as a parent, we want what our kids want. It all starts there. It comes from a good place. It's just what does it turn into, But, my kids didn't want us doing anything. They wouldn't want me sitting in the stands yelling out at the ref or the coach or, any of that. And so, out of respect, and that's not really my nature anyway. So luckily I was, not too, every now and then, yeah, my blood was boiling and I thought it was unfair. Or you question the coach, when Buddy played for Jim, I'm like, well, Buddy, we finally get to ask a coach, what the heck were you thinking? I asked Jim that many times before our kids played for him. But, and they know what they're doing. There's a method to the madness,
right.
And you signed your kid up to play for this coach. So with that, yes, you have to let go. But, just respecting your kid and not embarrassing your kid, and then just being civil, teaching them ways to behave.
Right. You're a model for them.
Right.
They
We're
see you.
role modeling completely, and we're accountable. We need to be held accountable for that behavior.
Right.
So in the heat of the moment, especially.
So how has being so involved, this wonderful sports mom that you are, how has it kind of shaped your relationship with your kids?
Oh, wow. Well, so much of it was time together, especially on the road, those road trips, AAU travel, and sharing hotel rooms, sharing highs and lows together, building great memories and moments. Family time, I don't care what you do, it just seems to be limited. And those are moments that when you're in the moment, you think, okay, it's just another weekend, or okay, let's try to make this work, and you might be stressed and frazzled. When you come out of that, and the years later, they just become these sweet, tender moments. You build on those, and they just become part of your whole relationship looking back.
What advice would you give to any moms that may be just entering the sports mom lifestyle?
Hang on tight. It goes fast. It is challenging. you know, I was kind of relieved when the whole AAU ball was over because it was a lot times 3. But I don't know, it just, after so many years of doing it, it can become a grind. I don't regret any of it, but I know that I wasn't like mourning it when it was over. I was okay with it, and I felt good about what we had done together and what they had done on their own and what Jim and I had managed to do, what we had done as a family, I guess. But it goes so fast, and cherish it. You know, a lot of times it was stressful and overwhelming trying to figure it all out and make it all work. It is fleeting, and when you're in the middle of it, you don't realize that. So just make the most of all of it, and the relationships and the other kids that are coming into your life and into your kids' lives. Reach out, give the ones that need rides. You know, let them stay in your room with you and your kid. Just having an open heart and a giving heart, and realizing that not everybody can do it the same way, and figure out how you can help and come alongside those kids as well and their parents.
That's great advice. But speaking of an open heart, you have done so much for the community. I'd love to do like a little plug for the Jim and Juli Boeheim Foundation. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, wow, I still pinch myself over this whole thing. You know, we started with Coaches versus Cancer when I was dating Jim. I would watch him, you know, go all out for this. He would go and speak to 10 people if it meant a $100 donation. You know, he would just do basically anything for that. And I really hadn't done a lot of fundraising before I met him. And then, you know, we're married, and he says, you know, eventually I'd love to start our own foundation. And I'm thinking, wow, that's way bigger than me. You know, we were fundraising for the American Cancer Society, which is very respected, and there were no question marks attached to what we were doing. And I always thought, well, will people trust us? Will they come with us? You know, and we had started the gala already, you know, for that, for Coaches versus Cancer is what the umbrella was. And then in 2010, he just said, I think this is it. This is the right time. There were some changes happening, and we launched it, and we had the gala, and you know, we're like, people are either going to come or they're not, and they all came. They all stayed with us, and almost $9 million later going out, they're still with us. And you know, everything stays right here for kids in our community, and also for the fight against cancer. We have great researchers here in this community. We have great support and advocacy for cancer patients. Right now, we feel really compelled to support kids in our community. You know, we own a lot of bad numbers in this community. U.S. nationwide, bad ones that we don't want to own, but we do, and we need to realize that and face the reality of it and see where we can help. You know, right now our big push is to help the kids who are hurting and desperate right now. Mental health, that's another biggie right now. So this next year we're going to do a golf and poker tournament weekend, celebrity golf and poker. And we're getting ready to announce that and launch all the specifics of that. So we're hoping that our sponsors and all of our support will stay with us and come with us on this. It's going to be a fun weekend.